Hello, InstaVote team. I'm providing you with this video feedback so that you'll have clear direction on the revisions you need to make in order to be successful for your final submission of your campaign book at the end of the semester. So I've done quite a bit of formatting changes here. As you see, for some reason most of this was an 11-point font instead of 12-point font, and then some of the font changed. It went to Times New Roman from Arial at one point through the paper, so I've tried to revise that as much as possible. I've also made some changes here in your executive summary. The campaign, so I would call it the InstaVote campaign created for the League of Women Voters Orange County was inspired by the mission of the League's mission. That doesn't work, does it? So, and then various social media platforms. There are literally thousands of social media platforms. InstaVote, Instagram. Stick to Instagram, right? Don't talk about other platforms, or else you will need to, in your tactics and timeline, incorporate those other platforms. So I've made some of the changes here. One of the biggest issues is all of this first-person narration. First-person, singular would be I think, I feel, I believe. But since it's a team, there's too much we and our. For instance, if we search for we, see there's 31 times that we is used. Now let's look for our. And there are 38 times, so 67 times this paper is using first-person narration, which is inappropriate in formal writing. It's just far too much first-person narration. I urge you to go onto Blackboard. You'll see on the left-hand column in our class Blackboard page these APA-style resources. I encourage you to use these to make sure that your writing style is correct, as well as the formatting of your in-text citations and your bibliography entries. You need to limit this first-person usage of we and our to no more than 10 instances throughout the whole paper. So you got, 60 instances to get rid of. Instead of saying our campaign or we, use the InstaVote campaign or this campaign or the campaign. I also urge you to have one of your team members take your paper to the Writing Center to make sure that it's meeting the specifications, the requirements, and that it's formatted in APA style. Finally, when we're thinking about first person and the use of we and our, you need to remember that you and your team are not executing this campaign. So you do not write in your paper or say in your presentation that we will post on Instagram or we will host tabling events, because we won't be doing those things. You're creating a fully fledged campaign for the League of Women Voters to execute. So what you need to say is that this campaign proposes, or in some way you've got to get rid of all this first person. This is not a personal journey that we're taking here. If your paper refers to events, like the tabling events, make sure that you're giving the exact date and times of those events. I think you mostly do. We'll talk about that more when we get into the campaign part of the paper. There's the executive summary. Your research plan, some of this I didn't require a lot of revision on my part. So you'll see I did make some revisions, but not a lot. Background, mission, and values. Problem and opportunity statement. This should be 12-point font. And this was overall relatively strong in these sections, except for all this first person. This campaign is designed, right? We don't have to say our, we can say this campaign. Well, let's see if we can get rid of the highlight. Well, no, I can't. Oh well. InstaVote's target audience is among one of the lowest percentages of voters who turn out to vote in an election, okay? Now, So, what are these most recent polls? Anytime you're providing a statistic, you need a citation. So make sure that you're careful about that. We not only look to run, this campaign is not only cost efficient, right? So it's get rid of most of these we's. No contractions allowed in formal writing. It is our civic duty to vote and engage in our country's events. Events? You vote, engage in our country's events. Is it? I mean, what kind of events are you talking about here? We are the people of a stable democracy, so we need to participate in voting and civic engagement as much as we can. I'm not sure about that. Just get rid of it. I don't know what this means. According to reports. What reports? Where's the citations for this information? Why do we say amongst? Do you actually say amongst? It should be among, unless you're in 15th century England. The Ross Initiative in Sports Equality or Rise to Vote campaign. So what did you learn? Mainly looks to target the Rise to Vote campaign. Not mainly looks to. The campaign can't really look, can it? Targets high school athletic organizations. All social media? All 3,000 social media platforms? Include Facebook, Snapchat, and Twitter. Okay, so we just need to write more precisely and accurately. Okay, the rock. So if you're going to capitalize it here, you need to capitalize it here. Okay, so that looks okay. Now we come to the campaign plan, which always begins on a new page. We can get rid of this and try to make this the right font size, 12. Now make sure the campaign goals are broad, to inform and educate people about the importance of voting, the dates that they need to register by, the process, how they register. I don't see any of this information here. By what date do these people need to register to vote if they want to participate in this year's election? How do they register to vote? Do they go online? Do they go to a county office? What do they do? None of this information is provided, but the goal is to provide that information. The informational goal is to tell people how to register to vote, when to register to vote, where to register to vote, all of that information. Anytime you're using numbers, 5%, that's an objective. Objectives are quantitative. So what are the steps they need to take? What are those steps? What is that information? Okay? So you want to start off talking about goals, and then you can move into the objective here. Now, if you're using Instagram, you'll also need objectives related to, 500 followers on Instagram. Okay? And not the social media platforms, right? Let's write very precisely. Get rid of all of this. And then this is all talking about a strategy and tactic using a hashtag. You need a lot of expansion here on your goals and objectives. Too many, this is not, first of all, Forbes magazine would always be italicized, right? For some reason, this is in 11-point font. And this needs a APA citation. They, who is they? we, amongst, our, just too many writing style issues here. Where do the strategies include events? Because when I come to tactics, it's talking a lot about events, but there's no strategy for these events. So the strategies and tactics don't match. Tactics overall looked pretty good, except for far too much first-person narration. When does the campaign begin and when does the campaign end? Never use the TH 12th or 1st on August 12, 2018. That's how we write formally. We use August 12th or August 18th maybe if we were involved in very informal writing or if we were having a conversation. But if we're writing formally, we put the date. And here's another problem. So I don't know, still, when does the campaign end? So if we look at the election dates, we can see that the first election is August 28th, general election is November 6th, Orange County register to vote. When do they need to register to vote? You'll find out that information. We need to put Florida here. Wait. So you'll need to use these resources and provide precise dates for your timeline here. The budget, clearly this is not acceptable. How much is it going to cost in terms of how many man hours are going to be required to post this content on Facebook? How many people, how many man hours are going to be required to man the events and to coordinate and execute those events? And then in terms of dollars, what's the total amount of, how many t-shirts? Are they $10? Where did you get that number? What are the gift cards for? I mean, clearly this is just completely unacceptable, right? Your measurement criteria and evaluation plan, and here we're specific to Instagram. So sometimes you're specific to Instagram and sometimes it's that vague social media platforms. There is no bibliography here, so that's certainly problematic. And then here we have some promotional items. Make sure that you're providing those items, 2 items per person. I think Appendix C had disappeared somehow, or maybe that's it down here. I don't know what happened, but I'm not sure you have 2 items per person provided here. Okay, InstaVote team, good start, but still a lot of work.